to this edition of the Second Chance Sports Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Chance Thyhsen. In this episode, I've got my guy, just got done doing some work with him, Max Van Auken. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me on. That was a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, man, a lot of fun stuff. Max has got a lot of stuff coming up in his realm. He is doing big things. Got a lot of big things coming up for him. Max, why don't you tell everybody what you got going on? Not everything, obviously, because you can't go full into detail, but let's tell everybody what you got going on. Tell them your podcast, what you got.
All right, so first of all, you got my podcast, so the Max Van Auken podcast. You can call it the MVP. So that's on any podcast platform. I'm sure they already know where to download if you're listening to this. I'm also on YouTube, but I also cover the Orlando Magic, and I'm on the radio in the mornings, 104.7. So the Orlando Magic, though, as of right now, is kind of put on hold at the moment just because of what's going on with COVID. So that was kind of what we talked about today.
Right.
It's just different situations and possibilities we can to kind of just see what we can to get our foot in the door. It's just a situation we've never seen before. Right. So right now, what normally I would be doing would be covering the Orlando Magic since they're in. But right now, that's kind of on pause. So we're trying to figure out what we can do. So right now, that's kind of what I got going on. And then trying to work some big stuff coming up. Hopefully, I know I got something coming up in Atlanta this year. And then trying to get out to California this year. So just kind of, COVID has everything on hold. So it's kind of just when COVID clears up is when things will start to get into motion.
Right, and it's all about overcome and adapt to at this point. Because we're so trapped. It's kind of like, even though the bubble is in Orlando, you've got to be there and you've got to be in it 3 months at a time. Mm-hmm. So even if we are to get in, what do? We're college students. We can't afford that kind of testing 2 times a week. We can't do it unless obviously we find a scholarship or something that somebody's providing.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about the bubble. So going into the bubble, I want to touch and I want to hear from you your top 10 players going into the bubble.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to state my top 10 players in the league because some of them aren't going to be going into the bubble. Okay. So 1 is LeBron. I'm going 2, KD when healthy, of course. I mean, the man's, I think, in my opinion, the greatest scorer of all time.
Okay.
3rd, I'm going to go with a Kawhi Leonard. And then 4, I go with Steph Curry. Obviously not in the bubble because Golden State didn't make it.
Right.
5, this is where it gets really tricky, and you can kind of go either or. One could be better than the other. There's like points for both. So I'm going to go Harden at 5.
Okay.
And I'm going to go Giannis at 6. And I go AD at 7. I'm going Luka at 8. And then Dame is at 9. And then Embiid's my 10.
Okay, so Embiid and Luka get me.
Okay.
I like Dame. Dame makes sense.
Okay.
So Embiid's obviously fantastic as a player, but Luka's great as a player too. But why Luka and Embiid at your 8 and 10? Okay,
so this is where people may get confused because if you listen to my podcast and you watch some of my takes on my Instagram, I'm more of a Trey guy over a Luka.
Right.
But there's a difference. Luka's a better player right now, but I would take Trey over him because when you look at long-term success, I like Trey. Rashad would say his magnetism. I think he's going to be easier to play with. I think he's in a great situation where he's going to get a lot of good players around him. So I think he's going to have a better career. But as far as a better player right now, Luka just does everything you need him to do. Like, he can pass. I think he's a better basketball player than Giannis.
Okay.
Now, Giannis may be better than him, but as a pure basketball player, he dribbles better. He shoots better.
Right.
He passes better. Obviously, not the defender of Giannis, but what he's able to do, and I'm not just a stat guy, but if you look at his stats, they're elite. Top of the field.
Absolutely.
And then if you just eye test and you watch him play, he's a brilliant basketball player. He's just, he's refined because he played overseas. What is he, 6'9"? So he can dribble at 6'9" and shoot at 6'9". He's unguardable. So he's in my top 10. And then Embiid is the one that I always feel iffy about putting in because I'm all about availability is the best ability. Right? I got that from Rob. So it's like you have to be available to play. How can I put you in the top 10? That's why I always kind of get on Kendrick Lamar, is because he's an amazing artist, but he doesn't produce. He doesn't release any music. So it's like, how can you consider him one of the best artists who doesn't release? And Joel Embiid, at one point, missed more games than he played. So I completely understand if they don't like him in the top 10, but when he is playing, he's the most dominant big in the game. Right. Offensively, defensively, he can shoot the 3. I've seen him handle. He can pass. So this is a huge playoff series, like just run for him.
Right.
Like this is huge because I think if it doesn't work, him and Ben split up. I think that's what's going to end up happening. That's why he's my top 10.
That's why I was going to ask you, how do you feel about Ben and Joel, and when does the breakup happen?
Right. I've said last season I would stick with. This is another example. I would take Luka. I would take Trey over Luka, even though Luka's a better player.
Right.
I would stick with Ben Simmons and trade Joel Embiid, even though Joel Embiid is the better player. And this is why I say that. I said this like a year ago. Last season. It doesn't work. So Ben's style of play, and now they just moved him to small forward, so that's different than point guard. We'll see how they click there.
Okay.
But his style of play obviously is not perimeter oriented. Ben Simmons, he can't shoot. He's always in the paint. He handles.
Right.
He can pass. Joel Embiid needs the paint. So if you have somebody that needs the paint and you have somebody that only can drive to the paint, you're clogging the paint. It just does not. They can't coexist.
Exactly.
So
Makes
unless
sense.
he becomes a consistent 3-point shooter, Ben Simmons, which we haven't seen him do, it's not going to work. But I would stick with Ben Simmons because I feel like if you center the offense around him in 2020 basketball, it's not a big man's league anymore. It's a guards league.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you surround him with shooters, if you surround him with the paint's a little more open, like I think Ben would thrive in a D'Antoni system where it's like he can pass, transition, open lane. So I would stick with a Simmons there, and I would trade Joel Embiid because you can get the farm for Joel Embiid. Like if you put him on the market, you would have so many teams lining up to make trades for him. So you surround Simmons with that, I'll take that any day.
Right. And so, see, here's my thing. I've been seeing some stuff floating around. There's a couple trade rumors that I want to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
So this one in particular, being obviously Joel Embiid right now, talking about sending him to Golden State.
Joel Embiid to Golden State?
Joel Embiid to Golden State.
Okay.
So they want to give up 2 first-round picks from Golden State, and I believe it was Klay Thompson.
Okay.
They were talking about that and 2 first-round picks. I personally feel like that's not going to be worth it to get rid of Klay.
Mm-hmm.
But to have Joel Embiid in a system with Curry and Draymond,
Mm-hmm.
would we still be clouding the paint with Draymond
Absolutely
and Joel?
not. No, because that's a perfect example of Simmons and Embiid and Curry and Embiid. Curry and Embiid are a way better fit than Simmons and Embiid.
Right.
And Draymond's the type of player where he's not paint oriented. Like he doesn't have to be in the paint to make an impact. Like
Right.
he can be on the floor. He's a positionless basketball player, and that's why he's so versatile and he's such an elite defender. He can guard the wing. He can guard bigs. He's most of the time he actually plays point guard where he brings it up.
Right.
Curry initiates the offense, but it's really Draymond who brings it up and gets it going. So I think it could work. I don't think it happens. I think the Warriors are going to try to get Giannis. Now, if they try to get Giannis as a free agent pitch, that's where it gets interesting because they could trade Wiggins for Giannis and some picks. So at least Milwaukee's receiving things in return. I don't like the thought of splitting up Curry and Klay. They're the best
I don't
backcourt.
like it either.
They're the best
Yeah.
backcourt by far. And you could argue of all time. Best backcourt. So I wouldn't want to split that up if I was Golden State, but it wouldn't. If they did do it, Curry's the type. That's why I love Curry so much. He'll be able to make it work.
Well, speaking of splitting up, how do you pitch Giannis to leave the Bucks?
Oh, it's
The team that believed in him. Like
Right.
Like, how do you convince him to just go, hey, come over here, we're going to create a super team? And what kind of cap space delay does that create within Golden State?
Right.
To have Curry, Klay, Draymond, and Giannis as a obviously normally a big 3, but now a big 4.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you asked that, Chance, because listen to this. I did a whole episode on this where I was acting like I was the GM of Golden State.
Okay.
I think that's Bob Myers. And so I was like, Giannis, if you sat Giannis down in a room and you're like, all right, let's just say he loses this year. I think he does, whether it's LA that comes to the finals or Clippers, either team beats Milwaukee.
Right.
I even have Boston going to the finals. So he loses. I would sit him down in a room and be at some point, your hard work and your talents need to be rewarded. Every single person is seeking better opportunities for themselves, for their families, in all aspects. You want to succeed. So
Right.
if you got a chance, if I'm sitting down with you right now, ESPN just came to you and said, I want to make you an offer.
Right.
Why would you not take that? Because you're being loyal to where you are, or are you going to seek the better opportunity for yourself? You're going to seek the opportunity.
Right.
So if I can go to Giannis and say, Giannis, you have the talent of an all-timer, but you're not going to go down as an all-timer if you don't have hardware with you.
Almost like Iverson.
Like Iverson. If you go down with... Now, Iverson's a legend, but he never won that
Right.
championship. Charles Barkley never won that championship. That's what's separating the all-timers from the elites.
Right.
Now, Iverson's an all-timer, but we're talking about Giannis could arguably be the best player in the league, especially going forward.
Right.
So if he has hardware to go with it, that's when you start to actually rank him in the all-time. He'll go down as, yeah, that guy had a lot of MVPs. Yeah, he was amazing. But if he goes down with that and championships, that's when you, like KD. When he won with the Golden State, we're like, oh, wait a second. He just won back-to-back. Where are we starting to rank him now? We see it with Kawhi Leonard right now. He was a great player. He won with Toronto, and now you're like, oh, wait, where do we rank Kawhi? So if you want to win a championship, would you rather be surrounded by Bledsoe and Chris Middleton? No disrespect. I know you love those teammates.
Right.
Or would you rather be surrounded with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green?
Right. Now, see, my only thing about that is like when you think about it, you put Golden State in that realm. But just like KD, everyone ragged on KD for leaving and going and creating a super team and then winning a championship. So Kevin Durant's already questioned as it is because no one knows what he's going to do with Brooklyn yet, even with Kyrie.
Right.
So in terms of Giannis going to the Warriors, just like how we're ranking KD now, where everybody seems like they're almost questioning his rings because he went and formed a super team. So if Giannis goes and forms a super team and wins those rings and has the hardware that you're talking about, where do we rank him and how do we rank him like KD?
See, this is where I disagree with most people. And again, if there's a better opportunity, I don't think we should fault or take that away from anybody.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, throughout history, even the old NBA players went to better opportunities. Old-time vets they preach loyalty, they all went and sought better opportunities.
Right.
So, and here's another thing between Giannis and KD. Here's the difference. KD lost to Golden State. He was up 3-1 when he was on OKC, and he went to a team that beat him, that was already 73-9, that already went to the finals.
Right.
Giannis would be going to the Warriors when they didn't make the playoffs. So yeah, it's a super team, but they're not in the playoffs right now. So he's not joining the championship team. He's not joining a team that he beat. So it's a different situation. Now I think they're going to say, oh, you're supposed to win because you have all those players on your team. But I mean, that's just part of sports. Why would you not go to a better opportunity?
Well, you brought up the Thunder. It's like you're supposed to win Harden, Westbrook, and KD plus K. Perk. I think K. Perk was on that squad, right? So you put that all together, you should win, but you don't.
Yeah, nothing in sports is guaranteed. We saw it last year in Toronto. Kawhi literally played against Golden State where Klay was banged up, Steph was banged up at one point, and then no KD. So even though it looks like, oh, you're supposed to win, dynasties, for one, never last as long as people think.
Right.
They never do. So we didn't fault Dennis Rodman going to Chicago. Of course, I think he was traded.
Right, he was traded from the Spurs.
So it's just all these players go to better opportunities. So if Giannis goes to Golden State, as a Lakers fan, as a LeBron fan, I'll admit, I'm like, dang, that's tough.
That's scary.
But I'm not going to say, oh, Giannis, you're not a champion. Like, I count KD's rings. I do.
I do too.
I count them. So for us to rank it and just be like, oh, those don't count, I'm not for that. I just think he did an opportunity that's best for him. From a competitor standpoint, I can understand where people are like, bro, why would you do that? But like I said, it's different. Kevin Durant went to a team that beat him. It's if we're gonna go play pickup ball today, right?
Right.
And there's a team that we can't beat. I'm not gonna. Oh, you dropped one. I'm gonna get on that. I'm gonna make sure I try to beat that team with the squad I have.
Exactly.
I get that. But if I go to a gym, they have good teammates there, and they just happen to pick me up. I'm not gonna say no because that team is stacked. No,
right.
I didn't lose to that team. I'm
Right.
going to that team. Difference.
Well, it's almost like me showing up here at Daytona State. Like there used to be pickup ball here constantly.
Yeah.
And I would pull up and I would play. And at home, and all of my friends rag me for this. We always talk about it as like, why is there a difference in courts? So like when I'm at home and we're playing on double rims and street ball, I'm a terrible hooper.
Of course.
I'm not good. But then I come to Daytona and I'm over here in the Lemon Center, and I'm dropping 20 points a game. Because we're just playing
You're a
hard.
bucket, huh?
I'm a bucket. I'm telling you. Like people really sleep on me, Max. Like I'm telling you, I am a bucket.
Okay.
Right? No, I'm just playing. But really though, it's like we come over here, and nobody sees it. But I come over and I play hard, and I'm good. And so when I come in, I get picked up. But at home, it's like
It's a different story.
It's a different story.
Right.
So it's kind of like I show up over here to a team full of people who can dunk. It's almost like it brings me up with them.
Of course. So why fault you for doing that?
Right. So here though, but nobody believes it. So it's almost like no one's believing Kevin Durant's rings because he went to a place that brought him up.
Right. I count him because he was the Finals MVP. He won. Like I said, maybe he took the easier route, but I'm never gonna fault someone for doing what's best for them.
No.
If you want to be happy, and it makes you happier to play there, to live in California, in the Bay,
Right.
having more fun, you're winning championships. Who am I to be like, don't do what makes you happy? Like,
Right.
if people in my life have better opportunities for themselves, I'm not going to say don't go because I want you to be here. I'm going to say
Right.
chase a better opportunity for yourself. That's the case for him. And if people remember correctly, he also went to the front office and he said, hey, this isn't working with me and Westbrook. The shots, the distribution. He already had multiple complaints about what it's like playing with Westbrook. So if the front office doesn't make a move on that, that's all there is to it.
Right. And so here's my other thing, though, is like, why did they choose to keep Westbrook instead of Durant? Did they,
I don't know. I just think they
better deal at the time. I mean, that's just, I think about that and I'm like,
I don't know if it's I don't think it was a better deal. I just think it was like almost a lack of self-awareness in a way. Like, think about Steph Curry. That season, he was the first ever in NBA history to win unanimous MVP.
right.
He decided, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to recruit Kevin Durant. You can't tell many people who receive a lot of money or have the career of their life that year to take a step back because they feel like they're on top of the world. But he realized, if I want to win more, this could be a golden opportunity. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
So this could be a golden opportunity. I don't think the Thunder had that thought process. If they would have been like, okay, let's take a step back. These two are not working, or they're obviously not getting along with their shot distribution. Kevin Durant seems to be not as happy. Let's go to Kevin. What can we do? What do you want? I think if they would have taken that approach, he could have stayed. Possibly.
It's almost like Embiid and Simmons. We go back to that. It seems like they're not having that mentality of what can we do better. It's just like, it almost seems like they're going off a cloud at this point.
Yeah, and then that's why I like Ben. I like Ben at point guard, but they moved him to small forward, and I think that is a good step in the right direction. Okay, that didn't work. Let's see if this works. Now, if this doesn't work, that's when you're going to start seeing them not necessarily panic, but they're going to start making some moves.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially for a guard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
now here's the other thing I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
And obviously you're a Trae Young fan.
Yeah, yeah.
So I saw a rumor floating around a while back about DeMar DeRozan getting traded to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, that's something I almost feel like it would be a good fit.
It would be like, that's why I said I like Trae because he's like Curry, where he can fit with a lot of different. He's not ball dominant. He can move off the ball. He obviously stretches the floor.
Right.
Great passer, great facilitator. That's why I love Trae Young, and I would invest stock in Trae Young now. And when I interviewed him, you can just tell he's a get-it guy. Even he's our age, and you could just tell he gets it.
Right.
But DeMar DeRozan is at a different point in his career than Trae. So even though I think it would work, I don't think that's the best opportunity to pursue. Because, for one, DeMar DeRozan is not a three-point shooter. He's a mid-range shooter, which doesn't mean it won't work, but I think there's better people out there for Trae to be a combo with.
Right.
Like, I would like Trae and Bradley Beal. Like, that would be nasty. Trae and Devin Booker would be nastier. Like,
Trae and Devin Booker would be so nasty.
Like, it's
oh
just
my
more
God.
of a dynamic feel. They both stretch the floor. DeMar DeRozan's kind of established who he is. And if I'm if I'm Atlanta, I wouldn't pursue that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel that. That makes sense.
Right.
I don't know, but personally, I feel like Atlanta's got such a nasty five right now. But now being down Vince, because obviously he's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, does DeMar DeRozan get thrown in for a year and it ends up working? Because I know you guys were saying 3 years. 3 years Atlanta would be.
Yeah, they're gonna pop.
They're gonna pop.
Yeah, they're gonna pop.
I can agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I can totally agree with you guys on that. But my thing is like when and where. What is it? What is the pop? And especially if you don't
have so like they're throughout just the history of basketball. You can look. So when Jordan came in the league, you're like, okay, this guy's great. Like, he's talented. His rookie year, you watch the documentary. That man's just getting off.
Absolutely.
But at some point, something had to click with him where it's like, okay, I'm dropping 30, I'm dropping 40, I'm dropping 60 a game. Phil Jackson had to come to him and say, look, it's not about scoring 60 a game. Let's elevate people around you. Let's play winning basketball. You can score 60 a game, put up hella stats, but you're not going to win championships doing that.
No.
James Harden's a perfect example of that.
Yes.
Hey, you're a walking
And Russell
statistic.
Westbrook.
Yeah, but you're not going to do it. So he's like, okay, I had to realize that. And you just mature as a player. And then all of a sudden you saw he passes it to Paxson. Oh, Kerr says I'm ready. He passes it to Kerr. He trusts his teammates. So we have Trae Young in the stage of, first you got to develop your brand. Okay, you're great. You're an all-star. Now he's transitioning to the point where he's also young. Cam's young.
Right.
These guys even though Trae popped already, Cam Reddish is going to be a solid, I don't want to say great player, but he's going to be a really solid NBA player. But he's just developing. So once he develops, gets better, you're going to get all these young guys aligned. And then, like I said, Atlanta, people already want to go to Atlanta.
Right.
That's where the
For
rap
the culture.
culture, the culture, and then you have all these young stars. It's going to take them to mature, and then it's going to get a star to come there, and it's going to pop. So 3 years, it will pop.
So I mean, obviously you don't think that star is DeMar DeRozan.
No.
But
They'd be good, but
I think it'd be good.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Me, if I'm the general manager, I'm not going to pursue. If it came to my doorstep, I wouldn't say no, but I'm not going to go out of my way pay him buku dollars to try to get it.
So, do they recruit Giannis?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no reason not to. There's absolutely no reason not to. You could throw your name in the hat; it doesn't hurt. I don't think they'll get him. But if you go, hey, Giannis, you obviously know how great Trae Young is. You and Trae Young would be amazing.
That would be an amazing.
The paint would literally be wide open. We got a young, long, athletic defender/shooter in Cam on top of Collins, and then now we have Trae on the perimeter. It'd be nasty.
It would be nasty.
Yeah, you'd look at the next dynasty.
That's really something to think about.
Yeah, it's just whether or not Giannis will want to do that, and I don't think he'll go. I think it's between Golden State, Miami, and Milwaukee.
Miami.
Yeah.
Why Miami?
South Beach. It's beautiful. And then you got to think of Florida's like no state tax. So you got that to play in mind. You got
more
players
personal,
think about that.
More personal reasons.
Yeah, and
than
of course you're having
basketball.
fun. You're in South Beach. And then you got to think about Bam Bam. You got to think of, you got Hero, Jimmy Butler. You have a great coach, in not Pat Riley, in Spoelstra. And then you have great management with Riley.
Right.
So
it's more than basketball.
Yeah, and you have to think about where the leaks are coming from, but at the same time, you have to think when there's smoke, there's fire. So Miami's always been thrown around. So there's a reason why it's getting thrown around. I'm not saying he's going there. I'm just saying if I had to break it down to 3 teams, those would be the 3.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's my other thing too is I want to ask you
okay.
So going into the future,
yeah,
I've heard you guys talk about the face of the NBA in the future is down to Trae, Luka, and Giannis. Who is your future face of the NBA? Who would you choose out of those 3?
I'm going Zion.
Zion? Really?
Yeah.
You switched up?
Yeah, because you don't have to be the best player to be the face. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the best player in the league for a while. He was never the face of the league. Like Tim Duncan, you could argue was the best player in the league. It was Kobe. Was the face. You don't have to be the best to be the face. It's what are people attracted to and how your style of play, your situation. Situationally, you're getting a young team that's just dynamic.
Right.
So you got to think that he's in a great situation. If he stays healthy, you got to think of his style of play, fan favorite style of play. You got to think about ratings. His ratings already move the needle. There's like 2-3 people in this league that move the needle. It's LeBron, Curry moves the needle, KD moves the needle, and it's Zion already. Kawhi doesn't move the needle. If you look at the TV ratings, people will tune into Zion. He broke records at Duke. People tune into Zion.
His NBA opening night, I think, broke the record for ratings.
There's a reason why they did this playoff format where they're allowing 8 games and then play-ins because they want Zion in the playoffs.
Right.
Zion is already moving the needle, so I would go with Zion's going to be the face of the league. Now, it doesn't mean he's going to be the best player for a long time. I'm not saying he's the next LeBron, but as far as attention, as far as draw, you look at the sales, you look at jersey sales, and then, of course, I think he's going to be an amazing player. I think it's Zion.
Okay. That's respect. And I think everybody else would think that too. But, I mean, you guys, like, we talk so highly about Trae. And so, personally, I think I could see Trae as the face. Because all of the stuff you guys put in front of me, and again, you're one of my NBA guys. I am more of a football oriented.
Right.
I love everything. I love all sports. But I'm a more football oriented guy. So when I look at it, and like say we pick the face of the NFL in the future, we obviously go with Pat Mahomes.
Right.
Mahomes or Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So when we come to the NBA though, I switch over, and this is why I come to you about this stuff, is because I'm more like, you put it in front of me and I see Trae Young. You put Trae Young and Zion next to each other. And in my head I'm going, okay, Trae, obviously all-star, putting up astronomical stats. And then there's Zion, who's already been injured and has been in and out. And now is having personal family issues on the outside. And again, it's more than basketball, and you shouldn't judge someone based on their personal issues. But when you put them next to each other right now, I see Trae morphing and becoming the face of the league more than Zion. That's just me though.
No, and you're not crazy for saying that. Like I said, I love Trae. I just think if you look at, all right, we're heavy duty sports fans. You take just an average person who doesn't watch that much basketball, and you put both of them on a screen, and you have Zion dunking, 360 dunk, or you take Trae Young doing a nice in and out move, pull up 3. Both are extremely exciting, but I guarantee you they're going to go to Zion's 360 dunk.
Well, yeah.
So you got to think about his build. You got to think the man looks like the Hulk. Yeah. The way he dunks, the way he spikes the ball.
Wasn't that your Marvel comparison?
I have him as the Thing.
You have him as the Thing.
The Thing is like extremely strong, fan favorite. Everyone loves him. Hulk is Giannis.
Hulk is Giannis. That's what it was.
That's Giannis. But anyway, I like Trae. You can't go wrong with saying Trae. I just think because of the style of play, it's gonna end up being Zion.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And so I want to switch gears here and go into something we spoke about beforehand, like before the podcast. And you say you don't have to be the best to be the face. All-time starting five. I want to hear your all-time starting five. I'm gonna give you mine.
Are you going? Okay, so there's two ways to do this. Are you doing it by who's the best in each position? Or are you doing it as in aliens are coming down and we're playing 5-on-5 and you just got to come up with the five?
I think we'll go with the aliens. I think that's a lot more
I think
fun.
it's fun. I'm going with Steph at the 1. And even though Magic Johnson's a better point guard all time, I'm going with Steph because of the people I have around him.
Okay.
I'm going Michael Jordan at the 2.
Okay.
I'm going LeBron James. Now I would go Tim, but I'm going to go KD, and then I'm going Shaq. And this is why. So now I have LeBron as the primary ball handler and facilitator. So you know he needs to paint.
Right.
Shaq needs to paint. So you need people to stretch it out. KD, shooting. Jordan, greatest scorer of all time. Steph Curry, greatest shooter of all time. I think you can't double Shaq in the post. You have too many shooters on the outside. KD will spread the paint for Shaq to work. You have too many buckets. We're never going to have a drought. And we have a lot of length. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's so. I don't know. That kind of trumps my 5. So my 5 would be obviously the same thing we talked about before. Bron would be my guard. Then Kobe at the shooting guard. Then Jordan at the small forward. Then Duncan. Then Kareem.
No, I like what you did there. I like how you put Bron at the point. I love it.
So I don't know. I mean, y'all take your pick. Y'all put in the comments, like everything. Tell us who has the better 5.
There you go.
And I think Max might have this one. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I'm gonna take my chances. But
I see what you did there.
Hey,
Second chance.
Take my chances.
I like
second
it.
chance opinions.
That's golden right there.
I am. I'm telling you. No, but I think that's where I want to wrap it up at. Max,
Cool.
man, I really appreciate you being on, man. I have fun. Blast your social media. Give them everything, man.
All right, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, not so much Facebook anymore. Max Van Auken, that's VAN space AUKEN, and then any podcast platform you can check me out. Chance, I want to thank you. Seriously, thank you for letting me come on your podcast anytime you want me. I'm more than happy to come on, so thank you, bro.
I appreciate it, man, and I'm glad you're here. Like I said, we've been talking about doing it for a long time. It's just I had to get started, and like
now
I said,
you're up and running.
I'm telling you, I'm here. I'm ready for it. We got to get another one going. I think the next one that's coming out, I've got, so obviously like, rate, share, subscribe on everything, all podcast platforms. The next episode I'm dropping is going to be the NHL Part 2 with Nick Gimbel. Nice. I want everybody to go check that out. That's going to be fun. I really had a good time with him, had a great time with Max today. So I appreciate everybody tuning in, and until next time, we'll see you later.
Peace.
They're not going to keep him up.